Joining us now, Brian Landrum. He is a staffer with the Corey Stewart for U.S. Senate campaign in Virginia, and he was also in Virginia with the Trump campaign in 2016. He was our director of students for Trump and did a pretty good job there with us. Brian, good to have you with us.
Thanks, John. Good to be here this morning.
Okay, so let me do a little bit of narrative, and then I'm going to bring you in, if you don't mind, just so I can set this up.
Sure.
So Brian Landrum worked for our campaign in 2016, Students for Trump in Virginia, did a bang-up job, and now he's working for Corey Stewart, and so that's the business he's chosen to get in, and good for him. I'm for that. Now, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, there was a reporter that was trying to get a hold of Corey Lewandowski, and I have my studio here in his home office. It's all set up, looks very nice, great place, love being here. So the reporter comes, knocks on the door, rings the bell, calls Corey, no answer, knocks on the door, rings the bell, and nobody answers. I was out that day. But the door wasn't locked, right? Somebody forgot to lock it. Maybe it was me, but I don't know. But I wasn't here. If I was here, I would have answered it. So you knock on the door, and you knock, and you knock, and you knock, and you ring the bell, and it's a private home. What are you supposed to do if nobody answers the door? You're not supposed to just open it and walk in and start snooping around and taking pictures. I mean, who does that? Can somebody just come into your home? And now it's justified because, well, he didn't answer the door, and he wouldn't answer my questions. So this reporter does that, Lewandowski filing criminal charges. This is an illegal act, right? You can't do this. But somehow the fake news media is fine if they now break into your home because they don't like your politics. That's basically what this is. So enter stage right, Brian Landrum. So a reporter for the New York Times, I'm going to let Brian tell this story. A reporter for the New York Times, well, they want to get in touch with Brian, right? And so what they do is they call him up, and he doesn't return their call. And Brian, what happened after that?
Well, I wish that they had reached out to me. I wish I'd been given that benefit. Unfortunately, I'd had no communication whatsoever with the New York Times. Unlike
None?
Corey, they didn't attempt to reach out to me at all. I didn't have any phone calls. I didn't have any emails. I didn't have any heads up that this lady, Stephanie Saul, wanted to speak with me until she broke into my apartment. This is what the left does. This is what the liberal media does when they're running scared. We know it. The listeners know it. But the fake news won't report on it. So I appreciate you here trucking the truth. So I was out of my apartment, just like you and Corey were out of the office there. I was at work. I had a friend staying in my apartment, thankfully. And this New York Times reporter comes on over. She's looking for a scoop on my boss. And decides that when she doesn't hear a knock, when she doesn't hear anybody answer the door, when she doesn't hear anybody inside, that she's just going to go ahead and waltz right on into my apartment and see what she can find. Now, obviously, this resulted in a pretty awkward encounter with my house guest, who seemed to have startled her, and she started walking out very quickly.
So. Help me understand this. So Stephanie Saul is a reporter for the New York Times, and she wanted to do a story or do something, get a scoop or whatever, on the Corey Stewart campaign. So you're one of Corey Stewart's campaign operatives, right? You're paid staff.
Yep.
So she tracks down where you live. How did she even find where you live?
That's still an unresolved question. I have a hunch that she probably got it through FEC reports, which listed this address for campaign payments to me, perhaps the Corey Stewart campaign, perhaps other campaigns. But she got my address and somehow got into the secure access building that I live in here in Woodbridge, Virginia. Tracked me down, found my door. Now, mind you, she was not supposed to be in the building in the first place, but she got in, she got to my door, she knocked, nothing. So she goes down to the leasing office, right? And she asked them about me, And, the leasing office hasn't heard from me about her because I don't even know who this woman is. And not satisfied with the information that she gets from the leasing office, she tries again. And that's when she comes back up, and after realizing that nobody's home, tries the handle, waltzes right on in. I'm not sure if she took anything. I'm not sure what she was thinking, whether she was looking to, speak with me or perhaps take something from my apartment. But I'm certainly glad somebody was home at the time.
So this was not your office. This was not an office building where you walk in and there's a receptionist. This was your home.
Correct. Yeah, and that was communicated to her. That was communicated to her by the leasing office.
So she went to the leasing office, and this is where you live. I mean, this is where you sleep and all that. You have a kitchen. This is not the Corey Stewart campaign headquarters, right? That's open to the public.
Far from it.
Right. So it's your home, right? Just like when the reporter broke in to our facility, this is Corey's home, right? This is not a public office. This is his home. I just happen to be here. This is my studio, but it's his house. So it's where he lives. And if his kids are over, they're upstairs. It's his house. So she comes in, and somehow she gets to your apartment. Okay, so she does her investigative work, finds out where you live, goes there, somehow gets access to the building, knocks on your door, rings the bell. There's no answer. Goes back down to try to get info from the leasing office. They don't give her what she wants, obviously, whatever. And she goes back up and tries again. And then nobody answers the door, right? Your person that was staying with you at the house, your guest, maybe in the shower or whatever, doesn't answer the door. You don't have to answer the door if you don't want to. It's your house, right?
Exactly.
You don't have, there's no law that says you have to answer the door when somebody rings the bell. You just don't feel like, you don't feel like answering the door, right? Or you're in the shower or whatever, or you're on the phone or you're busy or you just don't want to, right? You're cooking something. Who knows? Who cares? So she just walks in, opens the door to a private residence and just walks in. And then what happens? What did you do after that?
My guest was obviously very surprised by this. Was listening to music at the time, walking out of the bathroom, heard something strange, and took off the headphones and turned around. And there was Stephanie Saul standing about 10 feet in my apartment. She didn't just walk in the door. She didn't just take a step across the threshold. The door wasn't cracked. She wasn't peering in. She was 10 feet inside my apartment, standing by my living room, looking very surprised that anybody was home. And then quickly turned, started walking out. They had a brief exchange asking why this lady was here. And as she was walking out, she scribbled out a little note on a pad of paper, tore it off, gave it to my guest to give to me. But she was wondering where I was, when I was going to be home from work, asking a whole bunch of questions. And obviously, this completely caught my guest off guard and was a very traumatic experience. It's not easy to, walk out the door and then all of a sudden, see somebody you've never seen before in your life, that you've never even heard of, standing, 10 feet from you, 10 feet inside the apartment, up to no good.
So I want everybody listening right now to think, if you're in your house and you're taking a shower and you come out and you put your headphones on or whatever you're doing, but you come out of the bathroom and you walk out of the bathroom and you see a stranger standing in your home. What is your first reaction to that? Is it just like, oh, somebody just came in to say hi and bring me donuts? I mean, if you walk out of your bathroom and you see a stranger in your home, what's your first reaction?
Well, I tell you what, John, if she'd brought me donuts, maybe I'd be a little happier about this situation. My first reaction was to call the police. The police are now involved. It's an active investigation. When I spoke with the magistrate, they were talking about this is potentially a Class 6 felony. This lady didn't just, walk through a door. She committed a crime. And this, it goes to show just how crazy and deranged some of these, leftist fake news media reporters have gotten. No longer are they smearing and insinuating and making gotcha moments. Now they're committing crimes. Now they're breaking into people's apartments. Whether it's Corey Lewandowski or myself, this kind of behavior is absolutely unacceptable. There has to be criminal penalty. These people have to be put in their place. They cannot feel as though it's their right as reporters for the New York Times to just barge into people's private residences.
Are you going to go forward and press charges, Brian, to the fullest extent of the law?
I absolutely am. At the end of the day, justice needs to be served here. When a reporter can do this kind of thing with impunity, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. And so, I feel very violated. I'm very angry that she broke into my apartment. I'm going to press charges to the fullest extent of the law. I'm cooperating with police investigators and detectives. They've recovered evidence from this apartment, and I can guarantee you that justice will be served if I can do anything about it.
Let me bring something else to your attention that I really can't believe this, because I know Graham, and he's a good guy. So the story that Graham Mumaw puts out today in the Richmond Times-Dispatch is not the story. The headline isn't New York Times reporter breaks in to campaign aide's home. Let me read you the headline. When people talk about fake news and they get upset at the legacy media, and I like Graham and he's a good guy, so I'm kind of shocked at this. The headline reads, Richmond Times-Dispatch, 15 hours ago, Corey Stewart campaign attacks media, refuses to address staffers' possible ties to Jason Kessler chat group. What the hell does that have to do with a reporter breaking into your home unannounced? What does a Facebook group me thing, or who can? What does that have to do with this? It's almost, when I read the headline has nothing to do with the break-in. And then as you read it down, there's only a tiny line on it, and it's almost like, well, if he's associating with this person on Facebook, then of course you're going to break into his home. That's not what the article said, but Brian, that was the inference of it. And Graham's a good guy. I got to read you this headline again. Corey Stewart campaign attacks media, refuses to address staffers' possible ties to Jason Kessler chat group. What does that have to do with a New York Times reporter breaking into your house? Can somebody explain that to me?
That's a great question, John. I think it's a very strange day when the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos' Washington Post, reports on this story more honestly than the Richmond Times-Dispatch. I'm expecting to maybe start seeing pigs fly through the air. It's just a very, very strange day when that's the case. Reporters, cover some pretty crazy leads, some pretty crazy scoops, but never before, until the break-in in Corey Lewandowski's residence and then the break-in in mine, have I heard of reporters chasing fake news, chasing fake leads, chasing, the BuzzFeed, Gutterball news cycle by breaking into people's apartments, especially to speak with a junior staffer. Just a very, very strange situation that we live in, John, that's for sure.
Well, look, keep us up to date on what happens. I'm out of time. Brian Landrum, I'm sorry for, what happened to you. We've certainly encouraged Corey to go forward with pressing charges. I mean, you just got to draw a line in the sand. And when your privacy starts getting violated to the point where reporters can just walk into your home unannounced, break in, and start taking pictures, we have a bigger problem than the political cycle of the day. Thank you, Brian. Sorry what you've been through. Keep us up to date.